All right, we are back. The 2011 Paintball Sports Promotions Chicago Open. I'm Matty Marshall. I'm up here with Steve Rabikoff, and we are about to watch the LA Ironmen take on Vicious. And Vicious getting defeated earlier on today already by CEP. And I'll tell you what, Vicious, they got to find another gear. They got to find something here. They're playing the Ironmen, and the Ironmen beating Infamous 7-2 earlier on. So the Ironmen are 2-1 right now in this event, and they need to win this game.
They win this game, gives them 3-1, puts them in a good position going in after this, because the Russians play Infamous, and Russians are 3-0, Infamous is 2-1, so they need this game if they even want to play tomorrow.
Absolutely.
They have to have it, and Vicious is obviously going to do everything they can to try to get a win this event, and they probably feel like they should have got a win, and they let one go, and it's been downhill ever since for them, but now we're going to see here who wants it more.
And what a great game between Infamous and the Ironmen. It was a very it was a counterpunch game. Great moves all over the field, and I would love to see a similar game out of Vicious in the Ironmen. And I would give the edge to Ironmen here as they're with the rebuilt and rebooted roster. They got some young talent trying to step up and fill the shoes as they lost Ollie Lang to Dynasty in the offseason. All right, so on the breakout, you're looking at the Ironmen right now, all the way into Snake 1. Looks at Humphreys for the Ironman. He gets into Snake 1, and here comes Vicious on the Dorito side and on the Snake side as Brian Bortle makes his move to the insert bunker on the Snake.
And that's the first time he made a bunker without getting eliminated so far today. So
yeah, Brian Bortle.
He's probably really happy about that.
Yes, Brian Bortle was, he was misfiring in the first match. And I'll tell you what, Vicious needs to have Brian Bortle play well for them to be winning games. They have a ton of good players on their team, but Brian, when he's on, really kills people. All right, looks like Humphreys getting shot out of Snake 2 as he tries to get into Snake 2, and then immediately filled by Kyle Spica. Oh, and then Spica gets shot, and now look at that, just that ball just come right in on him. Yeah. I thought he was in there.
Yeah, and it just happened again to Scott Kemp. Or who is that? Is that Scott? No, Spica got it.
Yeah, Spica got hit. So Humphreys gets shot, and then Spica gets shot on a drop shot. And Spica's not a big guy, so he was in there pretty tight. So nice job by Vicious and Bortle. Now, nice job, Brian Bortle, seizing the opportunity, gets clean all the way down, and all he needs to do is he can't back off too much of that bunker. And Brandon Short is wheeling and dealing over on the Dorito side of the field, doing anything he possibly can. Nice job by Brian Bortle. Gets a shot on, looks like Miko. So here comes Vicious scoring the first quick one against the Ironmen. Nice job by Brian Bortle to step it up and shake off that last match, Steve. And we speak so much about mental composure, and out of a young guy like Brian Bortle, it's really good to see him get right back on that horse. And after having a pretty dismal first match.
Yeah, because I didn't even see him touch Snake 1 the first match. I mean, I don't think he ever got to the Snake.
And they need him to play well.
They need him.
He's talented. He's a great kid.
Get to the Snake and do what he does.
Yeah.
Just like he did there, they have a chance. So that's good to see that he got back on the horse and he's riding it there.
I mean, he's a grinder, and again, a great kid, man. The whole family's great. Love the Bortles. Again, they're paintball patrons. If it wasn't for the Bortles, I said this in their first match, but it bears repeating. And if it wasn't for the Bortles, Midwest paintball would not be the same. They really are able to help hold up and try to build something out of that. They have their own series, and we were speaking earlier the last match, and in case you guys are just tuning in, Steve has been one of those behind the scenes guys after he retired from competitive play after winning titles and doing everything you wanted to do, starting teams. Mardi Gras, yeah, you were the driving force and prime mover behind getting paintball and Mardi Gras. When we played down there for 6 years in a row, that was, to tell you what, some crazy times. But that being said, you have these people behind the scenes that really are the heart and backbone of the sport of paintball. And at the top levels, you always hear the names Dave Youngblood, Lane Wright, that are the people that make the PSP happen. But if it wasn't for guys like Steve and the Bortles that really support these feeder leagues, the sport would not be as strong as it is, especially as we're fighting out of this recession.
Yeah, absolutely, and we need more guys to step up and do it and continue to do it. And it starts at the grassroots. It starts at the 10-year-olds and up, and that's what the Bortles are doing. Greg Pauly, and for people that are listening, it takes a lot of work for someone to put in a national tournament, but even a local tournament. And sometimes it goes underappreciated, and they go on and they complain about this or complain about that, but they don't realize it's a lot of work, and you just get a lot of grief for it sometimes.
Yeah, that is. It's tough work. We'll get to more of that in a second, but now on the breakout. Looking at the split screen, and just looks like the Ironmen dropping bodies from both sides of the field, and they draw a penalty. So Mike Paxson is coming off, Billy Wink comes off, and I think that was Spica also coming off. Oh, and so the Ironmen are just losing bodies left and right, and here comes Vicious trying to put another point on the board to take their lead to 2. And they're just streaking down that Dorito side of the field unabated, and they're going to polish off. It's just Scotty Kemp, the last player left alive for the Ironmen.
And it's funny is, like, I'm watching the 2 breakouts for the Ironmen, and they're just completely doing opposite of what they did their first match against Infamous. Like, they're running their guys to the snake on the break, and I don't get that. You don't need to do that right now.
Well, another thing, too, is that if you're – okay, like, let's break down Vicious for a second. You got Brock Jolliffe and Chris Hooker as back sweet spotters for Vicious. Now, those 2 guys are incredibly good at what they do. They're bigger guys, though. Chris Hooker he's the slim down Chris Hooker now. He's getting in really good shape. But that being said, when you're scouting those guys, you got to know, hey, look, we're playing Vicious, and yeah, Vicious is a team trying to work its way up. But at the same time, you can't just think, oh, we're playing Vicious, let's just run a snake off the break.
Yeah,
you know,
you need this match. You want to play tomorrow. They're only taking top 2 from each bracket,
yep.
So they're down 2-0. The game's not over by
any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. So, but they're doing things that they didn't do against Infamous, and that kind of scratches my head on that one.
Yeah, and as somebody that's coached teams, that's when you're kind of like, I don't know. Now, Kevin Brethauer, the coach for the Ironmen. Former Dynasty player, world champion, very, very hyper-intelligent man, and really knows the game inside and out. So, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's early on in the match and they're trying to try some stuff out. But when you're in a must-win situation against a hungry team that's really wants to get a win on the board.
They want to win before they go home, and we need to win to play tomorrow.
Yeah.
To have a chance, because there's even if they go 3-1, no guarantee.
Yep.
But it puts them in a much better position than going 2-2, because if they go 2-2, they got to hope Infamous loses to the Russians then.
Yep.
And you don't want to. Again, you're putting your future tomorrow in their hands.
And you never want to do that.
No.
All right, on the breakout, Brian Bortle to the insert bunker behind the snake, and he able to make it out. You're looking at the Ironmen, and they make it to the insert bunker on the snake, behind the snake too, but they just lose the bodies. They lose Paxson. Oh, and another penalty on the Ironmen.
I think Bortle is possibly hit here, and if he is...
So the ref in there checking out Brian Bortle, and he is clean. So, but another penalty as penalties continue to haunt the Ironmen, and the Ironmen are just going to concede the point when it was just Scott Kemp left alive again. So poor Scotty Kemp over here is just continually the last player left alive. He's still in his bunker, completely confused. Maybe thought it was an inadvertent horn, but no. Basically, everyone behind you died.
Stop getting penalties. You will not win getting penalties.
Yeah, and that's tough to see. Now the Ironmen with 2 penalties so far early on in this match.
And they didn't have any in an Infamous match.
And in quick order, we're now looking at a vicious 3-0 lead.
With 17 minutes and 12 seconds
Yeah,
left.
so we haven't even played 3 minutes of paintball yet. And Vicious is already up 3-0 in a must-win situation for the Ironmen. Yeah, it's and as a coach, now I'll tell you what, Kevin Brethauer, SK, Skinny Kevin, man, I'd be really frustrated. Like, look, guys, 2 penalties already? Like, come on. And I couldn't quite see if what was happening on those penalties, but still, very frustrating situation for Skinny Kevin over there trying to coach the Ironmen right now. And also for Scotty Kemp, as he's just consistently the last guy left alive, scratching his head, literally sat in his bunker looking around going like, was that a malfunction horn or what's going on? Because we just started this point, how are we losing it already?
What's going on? I just got to my bunker.
Yeah, and he looks around, and then after doing the whole like, everyone died? Awesome.
And like you said, he looked and he saw that flag coming down.
Yeah,
to the
the descending yellow flag. So penalties haunting the Ironman right now, and Ironman smartly call a timeout. It's a very smart timeout. And they need to get something going. Looks like they send Billy Wing, Mikko Huhtinen,
Who said that
Brandon
kid, by the
Short.
way?
Well, I'm trying to throw the Finnish accent in there. Finnish, by the way, is one of the most incomprehensible languages I've ever heard. And it's unlike, too, if you ever spend any time up in Scandinavia, it's completely unlike Swedish and Norwegian, which are very similar languages. Actually, they can understand each other. But Finnish is like its own beast. Yeah. It's actually very interesting to listen to them talk, because it's like a rat-ta-ta-ta-ta. It's a very fascinating language. But yeah, Mikko, great guy. Again, best player to ever come out of Finland. And he's been one of the solid, just Gibraltar-like rocks for the Ironman since, I believe, 2007 is when he came over from the Russian Legion. So he went to the Russians,
got seasoned up.
Yeah, got seasoned, grew some scales, got tough, and then came to the Ironman and really helped rebuild that team with Oliver Lang and, of course, Billy Wing, and they brought on Mike Paxson. So, and that's what they're trying to do again. It was very good to see one of the younger players that last game that they played as the Ironman defeated Infamous, Kyle Spica, with awesome move, even though he ended up kind of throwing his body away at the end. He did the damage he needed to do. But that was probably the best, I would say, move that we've seen so far today.
Yeah. Actually, that's one of the best moves I've seen so far.
Yeah, actually, I would say that was the second best one, because that very same point, Justin Swartz stepped up, down bodies. Yep. So I would say that Justin Swartz has the best move of the day so far.
But all those moves are great, but they're not great when you don't play on Sunday.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I throw them all out the door if you don't get into Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take playing the back center and shooting a lane and winning the tournament, going to Sunday any day over some really sweet-looking move that may make a highlight reel sometime somewhere.
But I didn't get to play on Sunday.
And you're sitting around, shirt off, drinking beer on Sunday, wondering what went wrong.
See if the Ironman can get a point here. Vicious is going to put it to him again.
All right, so on the breakout on your screen right now, you're looking at that split screen breakout.
They do get one.
And now, better breakout for the Ironman, finally. As this is a very crucial point for the Ironman.
They have to have this
They have to have this point, and if you're a fan of paintball, I'm sure you've heard us say this before, we talk about that three-point swing. You never really want to let the game run away from you more than that three-point spread. Right now, that's where it sits. Vicious, 3, Ironman, Goose Egg. They got that 0 up there, and they do not want this game to go 4-0. They're still, though, however, because Vicious was able to score those points off those Ironman penalties so fast. Yeah, exactly. There's a ton of time left, with 16 minutes and 28 seconds left on the clock. So the Ironman, you can see they're, I wouldn't say aggressive posturing by them. They do have decent field position. They don't have anybody in the snake. They have a player in the 40-yard line, Dorito. They got Scott Kemp in that stand-up center. And they also have a player poised to move. There he goes. Looks like Humphrey's going to dig out to the back corner. And he makes it out to that back corner on the snake side of the field. That was a good move. Vicious.
I'm surprised. It looks like the Ironmen are really going Dorito heavy, and they just lost. It looks like Brandon Short. So
yeah, yeah. Look at that, Brandon Short walking off.
If Ironmen don't get to the snake here, because Vicious has no desire to even go near the snake. You can see they're just playing back. So they need to get into the snake.
Well, another thing, too, I noticed is that Vicious, even though they only lost a body, are playing a real tentative point here. Yeah. Every single one of them is on a knee. They are gunned up, though, which is great. But the thing is that you don't see any sort of body language indicating that they want to make a move. That's not good. Even though this field layout is not the most aggressive field layout we've seen, still, I do not like seeing that body language, because what that tells me is like, hey, we're up points, let's just grind the clock down, and there's still way too much time on the clock to be doing that.
And Humphreys decides he wants to get in the snake one, which is a good move, and it needed to be done, and looks like Billy Wing is now into 3-1, and Vicious pops in here to snake one as well from the snake corner.
It looks like Scott Kemp might be trying to call his shot. Scott Kemp trying to call his shot on Vicious.
Is he in or out?
And he is in there clean. I think that's Colby for Vicious.
Mom's telling him to chill out and relax. don't pay too much attention. You better get back in the game.
Yeah, well, that's a good move. That's a good clock grinding aggressive move.
Oh, he's going to take out the possible Ironman.
Yeah, look at this. Miko trying to make a move up in the center, living precariously in that center box right behind the center 50A. And then now Humphreys makes his move past the 50-yard line. Oh, almost gets a shot on Vicious, dives into that Vicious player, diving into the 40-yard line. Dorito, it looks like he made it in clean, narrowly makes it in clean. So now Humphreys is drawn up on him, gunned up, trying to get that cross-field shot. Colby also in the snake for Vicious. And
he's
right
trying
now,
to put some balls under the A there, trying to get Miko in the foot, and I think.
Oh, Humphreys, he hesitated for a second.
Wow.
Humphreys had that move.
He put his head down.
Yeah, he put his head down.
If I was coach for the Ironman, I'd be. See this footage.
You got
it.
You got to commit.
You got to stick that barrel on him and call it a day and leave the field. He put his head down.
You have absolutely got to commit in a situation like that. It's very, very crucial. And just if you're gonna make a bold move like that, make the move, and go gun up.
Go gun up and don't put your head down. Turn your head away. That I haven't seen that in the pro division in a while. But you know what? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for 5 seconds because he's new up here, and I'll give him that. But that's it for 5 seconds. Now I'm gonna get him. Up, Vicious moves up to snake 2. Scott Kemp's going to try to even it out here a little bit.
Yeah, you see the slow pace of this game. And actually, we were talking about the Vicious grinding that clock down, and I didn't really like to see that. But look at what's actually happened here. They have grinded 5 minutes off that clock, actually about 4.5 minutes off that clock. And then they end up winning the point. So look at this. Vicious is skunking the Ironman right now. The score is 4-0 with 12 minutes and 46 seconds. Again, still a ton of time left on the clock. But Ironman just look flat. They honestly look terrible right now. They got penalties. They're playing. They're losing bodies out of their bunkers.
Trying to bunker someone with your head down, turning your head away because you don't want to get hit.
I'd be pounding my clipboard if I was Skinny Kevin right now in the pits for the Ironman.
I haven't seen that move. I see that move in D3 and D4 where it should happen.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be happening here. Not in this match when you need to play tomorrow. You got to win this match. They're down 4-0 after beating Infamous 7-2, and Infamous is a good team. They're not putting up that point yet, so they're discussing it.
Yeah, so they're discussing that point. Haven't seen it go up on the board yet, though. Yeah, I was going to say the clock's ticking, but it's not. Still the interim clock, the countdown clock in between points, 2 minutes in between points. And that clock has not started ticking off yet. And I don't see, it looks like a technical timeout. I was going to say I don't see the refs having any sort of conference, which normally indicates there's some sort of controversial call. But
there was enough Vicious guys on the field.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter. Just pick one of them, you know? Okay, you're hit. Well, and your buddy's coming off with you. Well, you still got 2 more left anyway, so.
Someone's got to go.
Yeah. So just Vicious, absolute dominant performance right now against the Ironmen, and it's very nice to see them stepping up here. Their second year in the Pro Division and playing a team. Again, the Ironmen are rebuilding, but that really, I wouldn't say it's not a complete rebuild by any stretch of the imagination.
No, they still have some guys with a lot of experience that have been playing.
World champions.
World champions have been playing for some years. Mike Paxton, Brandon Short, Scott Kemp.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Kemp's been playing for, I'd say, almost, 6-7 years now. Brandon Short's a world champion, one of the best players in the game. Billy Wing, Mike, they got a ton of talent on that team. Miko, I don't know this game, what's going on over there. It's just a really flat performance by the Ironmen, and I'd be very disappointed if I was an Ironman fan. I mean, I am an Ironman fan because played on the team for 6 years.
Yep.
But it's just frustrating to see him come out flat like this in a situation where they got to win. They're 2-1.
Infamous is over there going, yes, this is exactly what we want. We want them to lose. Now we got to go out there and beat the Russians. Yeah, 12:46 left. Ironman, like you said, the 3-point swing. Well, now we're at the 4-point swing. Now they got to win this point here. There's no.
Gotta win.
They got to win this point.
So we're still on this timeout right here. Next up, directly after this game, we have Boston Red Legion taking on Infamous. And Infamous, they're also 2-1. They need to beat Boston. The Russians are 3-0 right now. So they look great. Now, that's going to be an interesting matchup. Now, Boston Red Legion and Infamous have played each other 7 matches in the past 5 years. The last 2 teams that these guys threw down against each other was 7-1, and it was during the 2009 Chicago Open. Now,
so they played last year.
Yeah. So now Legion has beaten Infamous 7 of the 6 matches by an average of 6 points.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a crazy stat. They've only beaten them once, but
that had to be when they beat him in Phoenix.
Yep.
Then when they came
Look
back.
at you.
Yeah, they
Look
came
at
back.
you with
yeah.
your paintball history knowledge
That's
right there.
They came back with that's when John was sick. They were playing with 6 guys.
It was one of the great 7 guys.
7 guys.
It was one of the greatest. It was one of the gutsiest and greatest performances I've ever seen in paintball before, and it was actually the first webcast that we did.
Yeah, that's right. It was 5-2.
Yep.
Everyone thought it was game over, and then here comes this comeback, and then they pull out that win, and it was amazing.
And they had and John, one of the best players, was like on his deathbed. He didn't even come to the field. He was so sick.
Yeah, he was done.
And they just had such a gutsy performance. Great job. And Travis Lemansky was playing out of his skull. LB, Brian Fowl, who's no longer with the team, just had a kid recently. If he's watching, mad respect to Brian Fowl. Love him.
We love him, but we love his son and his wife way better. I put him on of that family, he's 3rd on the list. So I hope he is listening.
I've never met his son, but I'm sure he's going to be awesome because his parents are
way cooler than LB.
Parents are awesome. So that was such a great performance. And hey, if you're only going to beat the Russians 1 out of 7 times, it might as well be in an amazing performance to win a tournament. So yeah, that game's going to be coming at you guys next. And then after that, we got Impact taking on Aftershock. And Aftershock, very disappointing this year for them. They took 2nd to Russian Legion last year at the World Cup in an awesome performance. They got beat real bad in the finals, but they haven't won a match this entire year. Yeah, and they're on a rebuild too. And they've had a big mix-up in the leadership of the team. Jeremy Salm no longer with them, so they're trying to find their groove.
And their matches are close. They're in their games. They're not getting thrown off the field. They're losing. They lost in overtime yesterday. They lost 5-3. They need some help with the leadership side, I think. Maybe they can get LB to help.
Yeah, maybe they could get LB to help. I don't know. It's Infamous. You look at their roster, and there's no reason why Infamous should not win tournaments. Really, I mean, honestly, they got Wake, they got Nikki Cuba, they got Marcelo Marget, they got Bill Bobby Aviles, Alex Savino,
Kevin Rudolph.
There is not one slouch on that whole team. You look at that roster; it's essentially an all-star team.
They have an all-star team. They have all the tools. They have all the financing that a team would wish for.
Yep.
They have great leadership. LB's still involved with the team. He's not around as much, but
Todd Martinez is coaching him now.
Todd Martinez. It looks like Rusty. He's over here coaching as well. So they've got a lot of experience, a lot of everything to make that work.
There is no component that you would want out of a championship team that they are lacking, and yet they are underperforming. And I don't know what it is. And I think they don't know what it is. And I think that's why they haven't been in the winner's circle yet. Now, that being said, again, we've talked about this all day. Well, not all day, but especially earlier on today when we were speaking about Dynasty's 4 wins this year. And one of the greatest stories in competitive paintball in at least this past half decade is that they're undefeated in half a year, which is very impressive. They picked Oliver Lang up from the Ironmen. Also, they have Mouse.
I think Oliver's... you read see how these posts online. Oliver is a great player. I'm not going to take away anything from him, but
he's not the reason they've
those
won every
Aftermath
tournament.
kids have got a lot of experience. The Aftermath team played in the pro division for a couple years. They're good.
Yeah.
Stephen Pitts, Mouse. These guys they bring that youth to the experience.
Well, that's what I was going to say, and I'm glad you brought it up because that to me is the bullet point that should be in bold and highlighted. Is that when you're looking at the Dynasty squad, and we're going to see Dynasty Throwdown later this afternoon as they take on Aftershock and Damage, and they're already 2-0. But the thing is that like Mouse, for instance, like I wish we had the webcast going yesterday because Mouse, Alex Goldman, completely and absolutely on fire yesterday, doing his standard thing, doing what he does. So hopefully he can keep that up today. He's been a very gutsy performer for them. And also, and a name to keep in mind and remember, is Dalton Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
Dalton playing the Doritos for Dynasty this year, really dominant over there. He's a very aggressive force, and they're really hitting on all cylinders this year.
Glenn Takamoto. I mean, they have an all-star. They are an all-star squad.
Yeah,
they're putting it together.
And to top it all off, and I think is another really, really big component of their success so far this year, is that when you have a team like Dynasty with that many really bold personalities and guys that are little that will not spare their opinions for you. They got Mike Himmin as their coach, and I think that really is that it's the most important thing for them as an organizational standpoint, because he's such a motivator. He's such a guy that's not going to let you get away with anything. He's going to call you on anything you do wrong. And because of that, he keeps that team in line, and that's been such a big thing for them. And that's been honestly one of the hardest things for Dynasty. I think they've been a little bit more beatable past couple seasons before this one. Yep. In large part because though they had a lot of great coaches that have been helping them out with their team, it was just really hard to find a personality strong enough to combat guys. I wouldn't say combat, but pair wits. I would say.
And Mike, the reason why Mike fits in so well is he's bigger than all of them, and he could knock them all out pretty easy. So
yes, ultimately he can just say, look, if you don't show up, I'm gonna punch you in the face, and he will say that too. So, and you need somebody that's as rowdy and as rough as Mike is in order to make it happen.
It's just not Oliver. It's those components. There's the youth with the coaching and the experience of Alex and Ryan as well. Yosh.
Yep.
So they and those Aftermath kids basically were entourage, and they've been part of the Dynasty family. So they've been part of the family for years anyways. Now it's just official.
Yeah, when you look at it, I mean, think about it. Okay, so, they got Mike Hinman coaching them. Mike Hinman originally played for Dynasty after he played for Aftershock coming up. It's a Southern California native, San Diego, born and bred, and really has been part of the Dynasty family for a long time. Won tournaments with them, and it's one of those situations where it's like a perfect fit. You got a really awesome guy who knows the sport well, who's super motivated, first guy at the field, last guy to leave, and he's one of those guys that really can try to re-kickstart that and find that desire to win tournaments and not let you fall down at any point in time. And that's huge for them. So it totally makes sense. And it's a great success story. So that just goes to what we're talking about. There's such a level, such a high level on all these big teams that are out here. Damage, Russian Legion, even the Ironmen, even though they're kind of on a rebuild. All these teams, Impact. These teams are really stacked, man. The top level teams are just super stacked. And I'm interested. I think I'm a big X Factor fan. And now that they have that original
they played
lineup,
good yesterday.
Yeah.
They did you see we were standing there for the game when they had Dynasty 3-3.
Yep.
And then they decided, one of their teammates was like, I'm gonna get a major. And then that went downhill from so for a period there they were tied and duking it out. And they actually had the lead on Dynasty. So they played good yesterday. 1-1, played Dynasty tough, got some penalties and got sent home for the day with a loss. But I'll tell you who I saw yesterday that I thought they lost the game. Impact. They look good, so I'm curious to see what team shows up today, because that's the trend with them. One day you get this superstar Impact team, and the next day you're like, who is that? And like, oh, that's Impact.
That's Impact? No way.
It can't
be
so
Impact.
They lost to Dynasty. They started the game with immediate, within 5 seconds, 10 seconds. They had a major, got down 5-0, came back, put 4 points on them. But they still ended up losing 7-4. But the next game they came out against Damage, they put a beatdown Damage with 7-2. So I'm curious to see what's going to go on with them today. So that bracket's it's got a lot of
meat to it.
A lot of meat to it, and it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out.
Yeah. So very, very interesting paintball lineup that we have this afternoon. Like you were just breaking down, lots of great paintball. Damage, X Factor, Dynasty Aftershock, X Factor Impact, Dynasty Damage. And you know, I really am, as we talked about Dynasty with their 4 wins so far this year, and they've been just completely stunning, winning everything that they've entered. I would take that as a personal affront if I'm on one of these other big teams. You know, it's like, look, okay, yeah, they have an all-star lineup. All of our teams have all-star lineups. Yep. But we were talking about X Factor. I like X Factor because it's like they got the band back together.
They got the band back. They've won at the pro level.
They got the Odell brothers back.
They got Dixon
back.
Archie
they got
back.
Archie back. I mean, and kind of in the past couple years before this, you would see a lot of these guys go and, you know, try to live out the dream. Like, you know, so for instance, Archie went and played on Dynasty. So did Devin Odell. Devin Odell did as well. Dixon had to go handle some work stuff. So did Dusty Odell. You know, and they guys have been playing in Europe, kind of all over the place. But anyway, that original X Factor team, if you want to talk about a team that really had kind of coalesced into a certain style, aggressive style of play, which I really liked because I always liked Texas paintball.
Yep.
And I think that if they find that old school X Factor mojo from like 2006-ish, when you would go to play X Factor and be like, man, we're playing X Factor. Well, this is going to be an intense game.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to come at us. They're going to, because those guys, it's in it. And when I talk about their style, it's like a heavy gunfighting, aggressive style of play. They don't like to sit back. They like to make dynamic moves, come at you. And those, if they can do that and keep on the grind on the practice side of things, so they keep their skills tight, they could win a tournament too.
And Alex is fully back involved with this team. He had a lot of business, a lot of family things he was going through, and he's back full throttle. He's here with his son here. His son's excited about the team, so that's good for paintball that they're back in it and they get the band back. So we'll see how they do.
Yeah, here we go. Looks like our technical timeout is over. We are going to get back to the action. Just about 5 seconds to go before the start of this next point.
See if this break gave the Ironman a chance to
this was a huge, actually, this was a windfall. Well, let's see if it was a windfall for the Ironmen, as they were able to have a long technical timeout to try to figure out what was going on. Vicious, let's see if
some clipped one, they clipped 2, so they got 2 on the break. Snake corner and Dorito corner. They leave 2 in the back center and 1 right next to him there in the little wedge.
And they are, so Ironman 5 alive right now, and Infamous 3 bodies alive, and they're all stuck in the center as they lost Bortle off the break and another Vicious player dropping off the Dorito side as well. So it does not look good initially here for Vicious. Let's see if the Ironmen can take advantage of that fortuitous.
They got to get points, and they got to get them quick.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely do. Well, you know, they're down 4. And we talked about the momentum swing, but there still is 12 minutes left in this game.
They just need to keep the pressure now and not get too sloppy, too lazy, and get this point quick.
Well, they need to go on a run of their own. That's what needs to happen right now. They need to go on a run of their own. The Ironmen do. And it looks like they're trying to work their way towards that. As Scott Kemp gets into Snake 1, though, it looks like he's got a referee on him checking him out. You see there on the left-hand portion of your screen. And yes, Vicious is starting to drop. They only have 2 players left alive, back center and back corner on the drill side of the field, as the Ironmen pushing down.
And here comes a penalty. Oh. You do not want to start like that.
And smart move by Humphreys to, I believe that might have been, I'm not sure what that was, for the Ironmen sprinting that flag in, and that's...
Yeah, to try to beat the player back in because it was a minor.
Yeah, and also conserve time, because the Ironmen need every second they possibly can muster, the Ironmen are going to need here, as they now are looking at a 3-point deficit. The score is going to be 4-1. Looks like that hang was clean.
And guess what? Vicious is starting the next point with a man in. So that was smart by him running back and getting there quick.
Yeah, so Vicious now having some penalty issues of their own.
And those guys, when they get them in droves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know,
they're I put them sometimes with Infamous. When they get them, they go full throttle. They want to be the best at it.
Yeah, you don't want to see those flags start to come in bunches. It's just out of the box. You know, it's just... And again, we talked about this earlier on. I'm going to bring it up again in case you're just tuning in. A lot of people will throw the argument out there that, hey, look, penalties are part of the game. And I would concede that. I say, yes, penalties are part of the game, obviously. However, let's talk about Tim Montressa for a second. Tim, in 1 year, was able to completely revert or turn around his style of play. Not necessarily how he played the game, but just a little bit maybe more about how he was, maybe his body knowledge as far as taking hits was concerned. Because in 2009, he was one of the most, no, I'm sorry, 2008, he was the most, either one of the most or the most penalized player in the entire league. The very next year, he played the entire season without getting a penalty. Unbelievable.
That's a complete
considering
makeover.
Considering he was one of those guys that they were putting out there all the time. I mean, at the time he was playing on and captaining the All-Americans, Philly Americans. It's a defunct organization, unfortunately, for the sport of paintball because they're such a legendary team. But still, it's possible. So remember that when you're bringing those arguments up. All right, on the breakout here, you're looking at the Ironman on your screen. And I'm sorry, you're looking at Vicious. That's Vicious on your screen right now. And it looks like they have 4 bodies, 1 in the penalty box. No, they started with 5.
Well, they did start with 5, so they took that penalty off.
Yes, they took the penalty off. So now Brian Bortle getting into Snake. Oh, no, and he gets taken out. You can see the frustration.
And another Vicious guy gets taken out. So now it's 3-on-3 because the Ironman lost 2 guys in the break as well. So there's 3-on-3. Vicious had the upper hand there, but they just decided to give up a couple bodies real quick.
Yeah, so Scott Kemp right now over on the Snake side of the field for the Ironman. He's in the insert bunker behind the Snake. You're looking at him on your screen. He's shooting inside.
It is now time for him to get going.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They got to get in that Snake.
Yeah,
they got to get that Dorito.
He needs to, time is ticking off. He needs to be working the down his side of the field and trying to work with his back players to get himself in the Snake. Vicious, no one in the Snake for Vicious as Brian Bortle got shot.
They clip another one. So Vicious is just playing sloppy in a little individual here, and they're.
Yeah, and it looks like the back player, I think that's Hooker or Brock Jolliffe, and he's got gun problems, so it does not look good this point for Vicious. As we are about to tick through the 10-minute mark.
Oh, and it looks like possibly they hit the last. Oh, missed him.
So here comes the Ironman, Scotty Kemp moving his way down the Snake methodically, smartly, aggressively pushing up the field.
And they eliminate back center, so now it's
yeah, it was
G4 with the Snake corner left.
Yeah, Brock Jolliffe was in that back center, and he gets taken out, and so does the back corner on the Snake side. Looks like Colby for Vicious, and here comes the Ironman. 2 unanswered points for them, making this a 2-point match at 4-2, and getting back in this game that was absolutely crucial. So that technical timeout really hurt Vicious.
Yeah, because right now I see a change. Like Ironman now kind of playing like they did against Infamous. A lot tighter. They're making moves. Vicious looks flat right now.
It's like 2 different games.
It is. It's
since that timeout. Since the technical timeout, we're basically watching like 2 different games right now.
So now 9 minutes, 32 seconds left, 4-2. It is all on the line for Ironman. Vicious is already out. They have no chance. They're playing for pride right now. They want to get this game to go home, take that drive home to Nebraska, and take a win with them. And Ironman need this win if they want to play any further tomorrow.
Yeah, the Ironman, well, they're fighting like it now. At the beginning of this game,
I
was completely dumbfounded. I really was at a loss for words as to trying to explain what happened to the Ironman as they let Vicious roll up 4 points. Now, that being said, Vicious was playing very well, and the Ironmen were getting penalties. But still, composure plays a part here, and I think we're starting to see that experience for the Ironmen really come into play right now as they score this 2 points, or those 2 unanswered points to make it 2-4.
And look at the way they're walking out. They just look flat. Vicious.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, let's see what happens here. But they just don't have that swagger like they had the first before the technical timeout.
Yeah.
But they could change it real quick. They just need Brian to get in the Snake here and help them out.
Yeah, Brian had been he was doing some work over here earlier on, and you see, and he is an integral part of their offense on the Snake side of the field. So they need to have him. He needs to be getting into the Snake, playing tight, and taking what the Ironmen give him. We have definitely seen, what I think is really starting to come into play is losing players off the break. I think that these teams are really starting to tighten those lanes up and figure out where they need to put their barrels and the trajectory in order to get those kills off the break. All right, let's see if these teams can keep 5 bodies alive off the break. It looks like Vicious able to do it. The Ironmen lose Billy Wing off the break and Brandon Short. So disaster for the Ironmen, and they also lose Scott Kemp over here. It's not looking good for the Ironmen right now as they only have 2 bodies left alive. And here comes Vicious.
This is where SK might want to, if he can't get a quick kill, he might want to just concede this one because they'll just kill time. And you know what? Even going 5-2, you're still 3 down. So as a coach, I'll be surprised if he lets this run out too much longer.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather take honestly, you're hedging your bets with 9. If he were just to throw the flag and keep a 3-point deficit with 9 minutes remaining, ton of time. But Vicious, if they do smart, like they want to win this point, obviously, but you really want to take as much time off that clock as possible. And here now,
I'm
Colby.
kind of shocked SK's not pulling that horn. I know he believes in his team, but you got to believe in that there's still a lot of time here. There's 5 guys here.
Well, he needs to have his hand on that buzzer, because as soon as one of these Ironmen die out of their bunkers, or if they do, he needs to concede the point immediately, because you do not want to have that last guy have to tick off 20 seconds just waiting to get peppered in his back.
I'm going to shake him later. I'm kind of surprised he's letting this go like this. I know he believes in his team that they can pick off some guys, but there's 5 of them out
Well,
here.
we can start counting how many minutes they lost. If
He's down
Vicious
1,
does end up
gave
losing
up
this point,
he
he
just
gave
lost
up
1.
1 minute has gone off the clock that they could have saved. Brian Bortle now into the snake, right behind Colby. Well, not right behind, but backing up Colby. Chris Hooker in the center. Looks like Parker. No, I'm sorry. Looks like Zach Sherman over in the Doritos. For Vicious and the 40-yard line Dorito.
What are you doing?
And they're so smart right now. It's a very smart play on Vicious's part. They're just chilling in their bunkers. They're listening to their coaches. They're rolling their guns. Look at them. All 3 gunned up. The only person not gunned up is Colby, and that's because Colby is listening to his coach on the sidelines. This is a very, very good play right now. Very smart on Vicious's part. And we're now we're going to 2 minutes. 2 minutes that have been lost off this clock. They could have been saved by blowing the horn. The only redemption here is if these 2 players are able to pull it out and make it a 1-point match.
Now it's 2 minutes they just gave up, so I'm surprised SK's doing this.
There we go. So he finally blows the horn, but I'll tell you, just like we were talking about, 2 minutes lost from the clock. Now it's 6 minutes and 51 seconds. If he had blown this horn when it initially was 3-2, now, hey, you could argue it both ways, but I really think that the smart play is just blow the horn.
There was 9. When I looked at it, was 9:13 on the clock.
Yeah.
And all he had to do is go, hey, did we shoot any of them? No. Horn.
And we lost 3?
We lost 3, yeah. They're going to chew up clock here. Unless one of my players shoots 1 or 2 guys real quick, I'm going to hit this horn.
Yeah.
I'm down 3 now at 9:13. Now he's at 6:51. So
you lost 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, obviously, we could argue both ways, but up here, I'm arguing as a coach that he should have hit that horn right away.
Yeah. That's not really the Ironmen's. That's not really necessarily the way they roll. At least coming out of like the Shane Pestana era.
Oh, yeah, you want to fight. I agree that, but you got to take fighting and having common sense.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I think that the smart play would have, or the smarter play would have been to throw that horn or blow that horn with 9 minutes and 13 seconds left. Therefore, giving your team an entire 9 minutes and 13 seconds to try to fight back. Now they have a little under 7 minutes to work, and it's a much bigger task that the Ironmen are going to have to fight back from. But that being said, dude, hey, that's not a problem. You know, I mean, the Ironmen easily could score 3 points in 7 minutes and 51 seconds.
Oh, for sure. They need to get this right here, make it 5-3. Vicious definitely does not want to drive home in that vehicle with an 0-for here. Ten seconds to the start. See if the Ironmen can pull one out here, or if Vicious can get another one. Put this to 6-2.
All right, on the breakout, Ironmen going heavy on the Doritos and doubling up that back center. So, and they lose the back. Looks like Scotty Kemp dying out of the back center bunker with Mike Paxton still alive in there. Oh, they lose Chris Hooker as well. Vicious loses Chris Hooker.
That's a big elimination because he shoots a lot of dudes.
Yeah, he does shoot a lot of dudes. Big gun. And also, if you're trying to stop.
Oh, and they lose their snake corner. Bortle gets eliminated as well. So
a quick point here would be very, very much a healthy addition to the Ironmen's chances in this match if they could put a 2-point spread back on the board here. As it stands right now with 6 minutes and 10 seconds left and got that 3-point spread, the Ironmen need to not play sloppy, not come stupid, but they need to definitely push the advantage they have right now. And here comes Kyle Spica.
And he needs this to go all the way. There you go.
Pass through, nice job. It looks like he made it through.
All the way.
Kid's playing good.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. now pop up and go to work and shoot that dude in the back center.
Yeah, I like to see this. I really like how this kid's playing. He's playing aggressive. He does not look scared. His body language looks fluid. And let's see, the only knock so far was that he did the same thing before. He got in a really good spot and died out of there.
Yeah,
so
like
let's see if he can do some work.
With, he should have stayed back and shot across to the Dorito corner.
And Parker Rosenthal dying out of that insert bunker there in the back. So just 2 players left alive for Vicious. And Zach Sherman is going to try to do some damage control out of that back center, but he wears a couple in his face. So just 1 player left for Vicious, and at that point, when you're stuck in that back corner and you're up bodies, well, that's the complete opposite of what for the Ironmen. If you're Vicious and you know every second you're trying to tick off, and you're the last guy left alive for Vicious, I've been there many times.
That's the one you're like,
that's
oh,
this one's gonna hurt. This one's gonna hurt because we got to make him run me down. So
you're just like, oh, there you go.
Yeah.
you don't want to really do that, but you're just like,
yeah, exactly. It might stick my hopper out a little bit when I feel the footsteps coming.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. Or just tighten up your back muscles and get ready to wear like 5 or 6 directly between your shoulder blades.
Thanks, guys. I mean, could have got at least hit the hornet right when he's like 5 feet from me.
Yeah. Can somebody wipe the 5 hits off my back, please? Oh, and clean my gun up too, because I got bonus ball too. So.
And I'm going right back out.
Yeah, I'm going back out. So we got ourselves a 2-point match here. This could get exciting with just under 5 minutes, 4:59 in regulation. Directly after this, great matchup. Must-win situation for Infamous as they're taking on the Russian Legion. And again, we went over the stats before. In the past 5 years, these teams have played 7 matches, and the Boston Red Legion has beat Infamous 6 out of 7 times. However, the one win that Infamous stole from the Russians was for a tournament victory in Phoenix in 2009.
And I'll take that.
And I would say that Infamous I think they have the strongest roster they've ever fielded right now.
It's an all-star roster. It's filled with back players, front players, mid players.
Guys who can play all over.
Guys have won at every tournament worldwide, every level.
Guys with great composure. Guys that are great at sweet spotting. I mean, they really have every single thing that you would want. Every component for a championship engine exists on that team. But they just have not been able to put it together, and I think largely because they're their own worst enemy.
They are their own. They are their own worst enemy. And they've added Chris to the mix. He knows everybody well, but he's a little bit of a penalty machine. So
yeah,
he's got a lot of penalties.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot better.
He has. It's because he's a lot slower. He's put on that little extra poundage. I love it.
You're just relishing this opportunity.
Look at him. We could see him across the field. If everyone could watch on the webcast, look at him sitting over there with his Infamous guys, and you could just see he's a lot bigger.
I'm just relishing this opportunity.
And he doesn't want to, but I'm gonna get him here. He is definitely receding now. He is
the famous Chris Lasoy locks.
You
think so?
I saw on the top of his head. It's thinning. I need to remind him of that when I see him, because he had no problem reminding me that I lost my hair.
Yeah. Oh, he never. Are you kidding me?
He calls me Baldar. So I'm gonna have fun with him.
Well, when you've known one of your boys for 16 years.
Yeah.
There's a lot of water under the bridge there, man. I think that's one of the most interesting things about the sport is that because at the top level, you really see guys like Chris, being able to hang around because of their skill level pretty much as long as they want. It's almost like you can hang around as long as you want to hang on, and then when you finally decide it's time, then you're just like, okay.
Hey, I played with him for years on Avalanche. We won a lot of tournaments playing with him. The guy was phenomenal. He definitely set the standard of how people were going to play. He could see and read a field and do things that players. That's what I'm saying. He's still out here because of that. He just needs to.
He's like Randy Couture.
Yeah.
Like Randy Couture was competing already as a Hall of Famer, and he's still competing now. Chris isn't as old as Randy is.
But he has the experience now. As you can see, he's playing a different position, and he's doing what's asked of him. Yeah. And he's doing it. He needs the bigger bunkers now, though. He can't have the smaller ones, but that's okay. There's positions for him.
Spots, and they made the bunkers bigger this year anyway.
Yeah, so he can have the tower.
And on the breakout here, looks like 5 alive for no. Destruction happens to Vicious again on the break. So just 3 players left for Vicious alive as they have center stand-up Temple, back center, and the back Aztec on the Dorito side of the field. Ironman, however, 4 or 5 players left alive. They have Snake 1. They're definitely in the driver's seat at this point, but they need to make something happen.
He's got to keep going and put one right on his back, right there. The Vicious player on the Snake side. The Snake Tower.
Humphreys is playing well for the Ironman too, but I would almost honestly keep rocking with Spica in here just because Spica's been getting it done so hard over here.
I don't know, after 22 did the bunker and turned his head because he didn't want, I would have probably sat him for the rest of the day myself.
Especially in this must-win comeback situation.
But maybe he could redeem himself here.
I'll tell you what though, if the Ironmen are able to pull this off, it would be an awesome comeback victory for them as they ended up getting skunked the first 4 points.
And here right now, if Spica was here, I have a feeling he would already been down the Snake. And Humphreys isn't doing that.
Yeah, there he goes.
Now he goes. But
don't
again,
stop
he's
there.
stopping.
I don't. Why?
Like, why are you stopping?
There's no back player keeping him from coming around this. Yeah, I could have just gone there to start with. All right, so then he's able to make his way around.
Bird dog by the ref. Way to blow it.
Well, he might have caught one over the top there when he first came around. Nope, able to make it in clean.
But if he brings that head up here, he's going to get one right to the noggin.
And Miko is is right on him. And you're looking at the spread for Vicious right now. And look at them. They're all hugging their bunkers. There's not really much they can do. They don't have any field position. And it's going to get, you're looking at that bunker right there. That's going to get really tight in there.
This kid's got to start making something happen here. Time's clicking here. It's 3:15 left in the clock. He's got to get up and get around. He's going to have, he better listen to his coach.
You know what? I kind of disagree with you. I think Miko has the ball. I think Miko could cut in.
Yeah, you're right.
Or maybe even Mike or somebody from the center could cut in and run down and just run through the center of the field. Because look at this. There's a seam in the center of the field that's open right now. Because Vicious is a back player.
Oh, they just got, looks like they got the tower. They did.
They're able to take him out. So nice job by Miko to
and they
punish
take
him.
back center. So if they can hang this quickly here, they have enough time to get another point here. Mike's starting to think that way. There we go. Grabs the flag. Usually the flag guy shouldn't be the last guy to shoot that guy.
But Mike loves it.
Yep.
Oh, back of the head shot. Nice job
and he
by
did
Mike
that
Paxson.
to remind that player, if you're going to come back out here this next point, that could possibly happen again.
Hey, you know, this is a physical game. It's not a contact sport necessarily.
But it's a physical game.
It's a very physical game. Exactly. I think that's a good way to put it. It's not a contact sport, but it's a very physical game.
Yeah, and it's like hockey. Bring out your enforcer to do some checking.
And Mike is an enforcer.
Yeah, and
he's
a big dude running around.
He's a bear, man.
With a marker.
And Mike's really good at that. I'm actually a proponent of this. This is the top level of the sport. There is no quarter given and none asked. When you're out there and you're playing for the money and you're playing for literally the respect of the paintball world, these are the best players in the world. So, you know, if you're the last guy and you're going to get run down, especially in a really close game like this. Yeah, man, if I'm running you down, I'm definitely headhunting because what that's going to mean is I'm going to ring your bell. You're going to have to go back in.
And
you're going to have to get wiped off.
That point.
You're going to have your goggles are going to be filled with paint, or I'm going to try to shoot your gun up so that, you know, when you go back, your gun's going to be goopy with paint, and you know, it's because you only have 2 minutes to turn around. And also,
I want to send that guy off, and I don't want him to come back.
Yeah, absolutely, especially if he's one of the better players on the team. So Mike knows that. Mike plays a very physical type of paintball, and he's definitely a bruiser out there. So I like seeing that, and especially in a close match like this.
Especially after that, 5-4. Here we go, 2 minutes 33 seconds. What does Vicious do here? Do they pull it out here? Do they finish this game? Or do the Ironmen want it more?
Well, those questions are going to be answered in about 24 seconds. It looks like we got a replay. Let's check it out. All right, look at this. Mike Paxson running low. And you see he's got the flag. Cuts inside. Nice little dip and move. And then bam, puts it on the last player for Vicious. Quick and brutal, the way he likes to do it.
How many lumps would you like with your coffee? How many?
Like, it looks like he gave about 5 or 6. All right, so on the breakout here, crucial point for both teams. Vicious, slight advantage to score 5-4.
And they eliminate the Dorito corner. Looks like Scott Kemp or Brandon Short.
Or Brandon Short coming off that Dorito, but not a bad break for the Ironmen. They still have 4 bodies left alive. Not bad field position. And here comes Brian Bordelot to get into the insert bunker. You're looking at him on your screen right now. And he is right behind the snake. And Brian, that's good. And, he's on his knees, no big deal. Roll his gun, though. Needs to roll his gun. 2 minutes left alive. Vicious needs to stay alive. They have 5 bodies still on the field. And this is when you, carry. Make sure you have enough paint to constantly keep your gun shooting for 2 minutes.
Kemp here, he's got to get in the snake, man. They're down a point. They have to tie this game. You got to go. There's no waiting.
Yeah, well, there is no waiting, but at the same time, because you're only down 1 and not 2, you still have to be a little smart. You got to be smart. Not a little smart. You got to be a lot smart. But the thing is, there he goes. There he goes, Scott Kemp.
But what that's allowed him doing that, it's allowed them, Vicious, to get the Dorito win now. So,
well, here's an interesting strategic move as well, Steve, is that they put Scott Kemp in the position to make a move and not Spica or Humphreys. And I think that that's pretty interesting because Scott Kemp's a more seasoned veteran. Maybe they put him in there in this clutch spot. I don't know, referee in there checking him out. Oh, and it looks like, oh, that's a major penalty in the last 90 seconds. And
that is it.
Wow, so Scott Kemp arguing his case, shaking his head, and it's funny though, we were just talking about that, and you know, you get you put the player in there with the experience, hoping that he can maintain his composure and keep the game from running away, but Scott Kemp draws that penalty. Wow, so just a mental lapse in Scott Kemp getting shot. Oh, and you know, hey, maybe he didn't feel it. You know, I like Scotty. He's a really great guy. Might give him the benefit of the doubt. Referee obviously thought it was a major penalty because he was in there for a while. So really that's a blow to the Ironmen here, as they really needed to win this game to have the best chance possible to advance. And Scott Kemp just really kind of blowing it there by getting that penalty.
Yeah. He's over there pleading his case with his coach and his teammates. And he's going to do everything he can to say, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. But
there's no way he ran back in there was like, oh yeah, totally took that hit, kept playing. Yeah, absolutely
from
did that.
What I saw from up here, I think the ref, I think he had pain on his hand, but I don't know. Obviously, we can't know when that happened, but Scotty's over there definitely going, wasn't me.
Yeah, it wasn't me. I didn't do it.
And here he comes. He's going,
look at
hey,
it.
no.
He immediately comes back out. You're looking at Scott Kemp coming out to plead his case on your screen right now.
Which it doesn't matter because you're pleading to the wall.
Yeah, and we talked about this earlier about, hey, if you feel you got wrong, you might want to give the ref a piece of your mind, but you don't necessarily do it when there's still an option for you to be in the game. With 43 seconds left, down 2 points, game's pretty much over. It's not physically impossible for Ironman to score 2 points. Scotty is heated. Yeah. Scotty does not normally get this riled up, but he is very, very angry at the call that was bestowed upon him by the referee as they saw that red flag fly into the air. So he's going to have to serve his time. He will not be coming out for the rest of this match.
And the refs are going, so was it a good call? Was it a good call? Did you make it?
Yeah.
It's tough, man. Those guys got it rough, and you know what? Hats off to them, because at this level, they do a good job.
Well, they also don't get any rest.
They don't get any rest.
These guys are out here every single game. The guys come out, play 2 games, you get to rest. All right, so this is it right here. Let's see what the Ironmen can do. No, they immediately lose Brandon Short over on the Dorito side of the field. And Billy Wing is trying to make aggressive moves in the center. But 5 bodies left alive for Vicious off the break as they double up that back center. So this is just every single one of them gunned up, rolling their guns. And here comes down the snake. Looks like Spica in there for the Ironmen. But with 10 seconds left to go, Billy Wing trying to get crazy over on the Dorito side of the field, gets taken out, make an aggressive move. But hey, Billy's definitely from the school of, if you're going to go out, let's go out. The fiery wreck.
Yep.
And that's pretty much what happened. Is he tries to make something happen over on their on the Dorito side, and that's it. So look at this. You can see the Ironmen's body language, just incredibly frustrated with the abysmal performance here as they went down. Well, I wouldn't say abysmal. I'll give them this. They came back. After that technical timeout, we saw a different Ironman take the field, and they really got back in this game. And the game ended up being a 2-point match, but Vicious really dropped the ball after that timeout.
Yeah, they did.
They won, and we talked about, hey, just get the W. But you know, I mean, just talk real quick about that.
It was 2 halves.
It was 2 halves. It was
exactly 2 halves. It was the Vicious first half, Ironman second half. Yes, Vicious did enough to pull this out, and they did. They're going home with a win. Beat the Ironmen. They definitely made it difficult on the Ironmen now to make tomorrow. Ironmen now are praying that the Russians could beat Infamous.
Yeah, they're just praying that
they give them a chance. They'll both be 2-2, and the fact the Ironmen beat Infamous. Again, I don't know how exactly the point differentials where they sit, but that's what they're going to pray for right now.
All right, we're going to see that coming up next. We got the Russian Legion taking on Infamous. Coming at you after these messages. Do not go anywhere. It's the 2011 Chicago Open. We'll be right back.